Kia ora katoa. Kia ora katoa. Cool. Just doing a sound check, making sure you can hear me through my microphone. Welcome to Wednesday. No mai haere mai. Wednesdays is Hope Centre, our virtual space where you can come and pick up a little moment, a midweek uplift to help support you and keep your spirits high throughout the week. On Mondays, we create space, a virtual space, grief centre, where you can unpack any feelings or mindsets that are holding you back and any grief, any loss. And we make space for that on Mondays. On Wednesdays is Hope Centre. It's just some facilitated thought to help you to keep your spirits up and keep practicing feeling hope, feeling hopeful. Because after all, it is a practice. It's a practice to keep connecting to your goals and your visions and to overcome the programming that is all around us, whether it's in the workplace, in the school, in the system. I have had some requests for Hope Centre, which is really lovely. Requests about to help some of our listeners to maintain that resilience, to protect themselves from the naysayers and the negativity. One of the things that is around a lot at the moment is that it's not a good time to buy. Kia ora, my name is Inez White-Waitala. I'm an Indigenous coach, but I'm also a registered valuer, a member of the Property Institute of New Zealand, a full member, and a registered valuer of the New Zealand Institute of Valuers. I've been running this business for 7 years, and my goal is to demystify the pathway to home ownership and to occupying whenua Māori. This story, narrative at the moment that interest rates are too high, it's not a good time to buy. Let's pause on that. What about when the interest rates were 2%? Right? And you still didn't buy. The interest rate doesn't have anything to do with it. And I'll tell you why soon. And the price doesn't have anything to do with it for us as Māori people, tangata whenua. I'll give you sort of more the dynamics of how it works, but then I'm going to go right down deeper into why it matters, what matters for us. When interest rates are high, like they are now, what happens? Interest rates that are going up push the prices down. And if not the prices straight away, they at least slow down the market activity, which means fewer people are out there buying because fewer people are able to afford the increased interest rates at the prices they were able to pay maybe last year, which means there's less competition for a property. And so over a period of, 6 months, 18 months, when the market is slowing down, prices don't necessarily increase as fast as they did before or increase at all. They don't necessarily always go backwards, but they can also go down. In Wellington, I think roughly it's about 20%, somewhere between 16 to 28%. Some of the suburbs have reduced in price. This is one of the things that an increase in interest rate does. It brings down the price, it puts the brakes on. It's a parachute for the property market. It's done on purpose. This is why the Reserve Bank does this. So yes, the interest rate is up, but there's an effect on the overall price. Let's come back around to, let's say, around just after COVID. So that was 2020 to 2022, those years. And the interest rate was 2%, 2.5%. And what happened? Interest rate is down. The price got pushed right up. Let's say 30%, some of the places, more. I know in the suburb I live, it was more like 40% to 50% within 2 years. So interest rates being down mean prices go up as well as the competition. So that means if you want to look at it from a grief perspective, that there is never a good time for us to buy a property in Aotearoa. But if you want to look at it from a hope perspective, it is always a good time for us to buy in Aotearoa. It's just our tactics change. So in a season when interest rates are high, we focus on preparing ourselves so that we can have go into negotiations with more or less an unconditional offer from the bank. You be prepared and you show up and you negotiate hard because you've already got your finance pre-approved. Yeah. That's what we focus on in this season. In the season when interest rates are low and prices are going up, you have to focus on the same thing, but you just focus on being best dressed and making sure you don't muck around in a negotiation, that you're able to make your best offer, close the deal straight away. But either way, this is the dynamic of the market. Don't let anybody ever tell you that it's not a good time to buy. It's a seesaw. It goes up and down depending on, what needs to be tweaked in the economy. So right now, interest rates are going up, but you may find an opportunity to get a better price. And overall, you could be paying the same price for the house as if it was low in your weekly payments compared to a low interest rate but a high price that you paid. There is right now potentially a higher interest rate but lower price. And so if you get your property at the right time, you overall could be paying a similar amount out of weekly repayments. But let's take a step back from that kōrero. That's the whakaaro Pākehā, right? That's valuing, that's property. I want to take us deeper in to a deeper place of hope in relation to whenua, property, home ownership, occupying our Māori land. And that is this. It is always a good time for us as Māori people, as indigenous people in whatever country you are in, to pursue home ownership and whenua occupation. Because it is about correcting the imbalance of us having to rent our own homes and our own whenua in our own country. So I'll recap that. Home ownership, occupying whenua, is always the right time for us as Māori or indigenous people, because it is about correcting the imbalance of us renting our own land in our own country. And sometimes the season calls for us to have to work a bit harder, become a bit more resilient. deal with a bit more bullshit. Sometimes it's harder. But still, it is for our mokopuna, so that we leave them in a country where they have somewhere to belong, because we already belong here. But externally, we are tenants in our own country. 70% of us are. Roughly, those are the stats. And so if we look at this journey, as difficult as it may be, as our legacy for mokopuna, so that they will not have to be tenants in our own country, then does that help minimize the worry about interest rates and price and whether it's a good time? Leave that kind of thinking for people for tauiwi. Leave that kind of people for others. That market talk, that price and interest rate stuff, that's for other people. Ours is that we have a right to continue our tangata whenua status, and home ownership is just one of those ways to achieve that. Some people are going through land back, through treaty claims, through iwi and hapu holdings. Amazing. That's fantastic. But it doesn't mean that us as individuals can't contribute to that journey, land back, incrementally, by taking back 1/4 acre at a time through home ownership. So is it a good time to buy? Yes, it's a fantastic time to buy. What about next year? Yes, it is. What about last year? Yes, it was. The marketplace is always for us to engage in. Your dreams and aspirations of occupying your whenua are always valid, are always relevant, and are always at the right time. Let's correct our thinking and come back inside and stop the market chatter and the news from distracting us. It is always a good time if you are Māori. This is your home. This is our home. And we are allowed to have that home on the inside in our whakapapa and in the homes that we live in. So kia kaha. The economy has been hard for I don't know how many years. Definitely for the last 8. It just changes its flavour and its skin. But don't let it interfere with your plans. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Don't be distracted. He Māori. He tangata whenua. Join me next week for Hope Centre, a virtual space to come and get like a cup of tea, just a midweek uplift to keep your spirits up. As indigenous people trying to achieve goals like home ownership, wealth creation, overcoming generational trauma, money, all of those things are not separate to who we are, to ourselves. It's a whole person experience. Taha wairua, tinana, all those things. Money comes after we soothe, correct ourselves, build ourselves up in all the ways. So on Monday, we make a habit of leaving our resentments, our grief, and our hurt on Monday. We give them a space to exist on Mondays, and we practice offloading it so that we can get on with our journeys. Wednesday, we come back for a little uplift. Fridays, we get creative, and I encourage you to put some time into being creative, because creativity sparks other parts of the brain and the mind. And when you're tired, when you're needing some resilience, when you're needing to tap into another energy source, to keep pushing through on your goals, often tapping into your creativity is like where you get that extra motivation. And so that's what we do on Friday. We make a habit of it, make time, make something, create something, play, feel free, because freedom and learning how to feel it regularly is part of being wealthy. That's a wealthy life. And then after that, it's just money. You just save money, you just make more money. We don't start with making money and saving money. That comes from unpacking our stress, resentments, keeping our spirits high, and then opening ourselves up to the world for other ways of doing things through freedom, play, and creativity. Consider going over to my podcast. You can find that on everywhere. So you can find it on Spotify. You're looking for IWI, iwi, so Inez White Indigenuity. I'll pop the link in here in the comments. Consider going there. As we go on through the year, I'll start uploading my Grief, Hope and Creativity Centre videos onto Spotify so that you can get notifications and tune in to the little weekly reminders while you're driving to work or while you're on lunch break and stuff. Sometimes coming to Facebook isn't the easiest place for you to get on, but if it's on Spotify, you can listen to it and watch it as well. So I'll pop the link in the comments. Thank you for watching and coming to embrace a bit of hope for the week. Mōri ora.